Bama Nation, roll tide. How is everybody doing? Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Still kind of on a high from what happened on Saturday, and it was it was great. But before we do, like always, if you can, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, send me comments. Want to hear from you guys after what happened on Saturday in the SEC championship game. Again, 100% appreciate you all. But we're going to jump into it. And it was Joyless Murderball against Georgia. In my opinion, it couldn't have went any better. The game was 6.5 point. We were 6.5 point dogs for the first time, I think they said, in 90 some odd games, which is a crazy stat to even think about. And Nick Saban and that coaching staff used that as fuel for fire. He said it in an interview. The rat poison was yummy, and we decided to play probably one of our better games. Um, on Saturday. So I know I'm a little late on my show. I kind of digesting this and kind of wanted to just let it sink in and see where things fell as well with the college football playoff, which we all know we are number one and we'll be playing number 4 Cincinnati, which we'll talk about later this week. But this game, guys, it was great. Bryce Young carved up that number one defense. I mean, he threw for a record 421 yards and 3 touchdowns. Um, Jamison Williams had a great game. I think 7 catches for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I said it, he needed to be big in this game, and he was. And John Mechie actually, put in a great game too. 6 catches, 97 yards, and a touchdown. But Mechie down, prayers with him. Hopefully everything's going to turn out well for him, and wish, for him for a speedy recovery. But it lets some of these younger guys kind of hopefully fill a role right now, and in this coming week, in the coming weeks, and obviously for that game against Cincinnati coming up. But I was so happy with the way that these guys played. They come out. I think we were down. What was it? 3-0. I think maybe, and it just second quarter hit. We scored 24 points in the second quarter. Bryce Young all but probably locked up that Heisman. That's coming Saturday for him with the game that he had. And you watch a lot of interviews after the game and them just talking about Bryce, and there was some kind of reactions about where Alabama would land in the college football playoff after that game. And I mean, honestly, some thought that, Michigan should jump to 1. And I think the reason that Alabama jumped to number 1, honestly, was one reason. Well, 2 reasons. One was obviously they beat Georgia, who was the number 1 team in the nation at the time. And 2, it was how they beat them and by how much. I mean, 17 points. We scored 41 points against this team who gives up an average of 7 points a game. There's not much else to say except holy shit. These guys, they did what they were supposed to do. They came out and played Alabama football, and it was the first time this year where I looked at them and we gave up some points. I get it. They did defensively. We weren't spectacular, but I'll tell you where we were great at, and it was stopping the run. They averaged, I think, 220 something yards a game rushing, and I think we gave up like 100 and something. What was 109 yards rushing? Held James Cook to 38, held Zamir White to 27, and Kenny McIntosh to 32. Stetson Bennett had some yards in there as well, but so 109 yards rushing. They did a good job on us too. We had 115, but the story was how well our defense played and how well our offense played against their defense. It's when you have a game like this in Atlanta for the SEC championship, Alabama's underdogs, and I credit Georgia. They had a heck of a season. They really did. They pounded people all year long. And when Alabama saw that they were going to be underdogs, which we knew they were, by 6.5 points, there's a switch that flipped on Coach Saban, on the coaching staff, and on all those players. And they used it as fuel for the fire. Came out and played again, probably the best game that I've seen them play all year at the right time, and resulted in a huge win. SEC championship. I mean, Bryant Denny East, which is Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I know people get tired of seeing Alabama, and rightfully so, right? People do get tired of seeing Alabama. I I don't. I'm an Alabama fan. I want them there every year. But if you don't want to see Alabama there, then beat them. That's all I'm going to say. Texas A&M beat us. We'd have one loss, and we still managed to get in there and beat Georgia for that. And we're in the playoff now. So you don't like seeing Alabama in there, people? Get your recruits in there, get your coaches in there to your schools, and beat us, especially if you're in the SEC. So ecstatic, so ecstatic from what happened in this game. Not to mention, too, Will Anderson got himself another sack, another tackle for a loss, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later this week. But I just kind of wanted to come on here and express my gratitude for this team. Now, I do have a negative thing. It's not really negative, but I want to talk about this. And I saw a lot of shit on social media about, oh, we're going to lose to Georgia. I can't. It was all over. And look, I'm a homer. I will root for Alabama every single time they touch a field. I don't care if it's 5 years from now and Nick Saban might be retired and we have a different coach and we're not doing well. I'm always going to root for this team. But for everybody that was doubting us and you were Alabama fans, man, you need to do something about that. You're either a fan or you're not. And all the negativity that was brought on, they, I think some of them saw that too and just used it. But I was so sick and tired of seeing Georgia's going to do this, Georgia's going to do that, and even in the media, and it was everybody picking Georgia, and we are still Alabama. We are still a top-notch football program, and now leaning into some other sports, which we'll get to in just a second. But I was so sick of the negativity, and we need to just quit that and focus on what we do well, and that's win football games. Might not be pretty all the time, but this win was pretty. 41-24 against a team that has been killing everybody all year long, and with that defense they had, and Alabama made them look pretty silly, honestly, pretty silly. So stop all the freaking negativity with this football team and just go out and support them, please. I'm so sick of it. I really am. So also, one more thing to mention. Alabama basketball that same night goes to Seattle, plays Gonzaga, the number 3 team in the country at the time. And Alabama pulls out a huge win there, 91-82. Jaden Shackelford was amazing in that game. He was lights out from the 3-point line. JD Davison is playing well. That whole team is playing well. Coach Oates is the best hire for that basketball team I've seen in a long, long time, and has them ranked. I think we're ranked 9th right now. We got a big game this weekend against Houston, then turn around and play Memphis. So kind of running through the gauntlet right now. But it was the first time, I think, ever that something happened where men's basketball and football both beat top 5 AP top 5 teams, in the same night. So not only did we win an SEC championship in football, we pulled off a outstanding win against Gonzaga in basketball to take us. I think we're 7-1 now in basketball. So things are looking bright for Alabama athletics, guys. And it's not just there. You got gymnastics, you got softball, baseball is going to turn around. I mean, women's basketball. We've got it's kicking. So again, we need to just keep supporting our team. And right now, football I know is in everybody's minds. It's gonna, it's gonna be over soon. Basketball's here. We need to support those guys, and just we got to keep going. So hopefully, I will get a show out for you guys on some basketball probably this week. We'll get some football stuff out as well. Heisman's coming up. But again, this was just about Alabama beating Georgia in the SEC championship game. It was great. I'm not going to get too statistical in it. It was just a huge win for an underdog Alabama, which is a shocker. But again, Alabama pulls out that victory to get another SEC championship, 41-24. It's great. If you guys can, again, please, I appreciate you guys so much. 100% do. If you can, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit some of your comments. I want to know what you guys kind of thought of the game and what you guys have thought so far this season. So, again, 100% appreciate all of you, and roll damn tide. We'll see you soon.